Hi, I'm Jeff Unruh. I teach grade 6-7 at Pacific Heights Elementary. A little bit about myself. Well, I am a teacher, but I think most of all, I am a tinkerer. I'm a builder. I like to make things, and I guess I'm a bit of a part-time mechanic because I'm too cheap to pay for a real one. I'm a pretty hands-on person. So in my classroom, I would say that I bring those skills to the classroom, and I consider them something that everybody should learn, is to be able to build or create. One of my favorite things about the Tinkerine Ditto Pro is the ability to make projects very inexpensively, and students can make whatever they want, whenever they want, right in our own classroom. One of the most important aspects of 3D printing is the ability to prototype and make as many different iterations of the same thing as possible. The first things that I did when I got the printer was I repaired one of these stools that we have in our classroom, and we were going to throw the stool away because it was missing one of the feet. And so I challenged some of the boys to design a foot that would replace the foot that should have been on the stool. And I gave them a pair of calipers to measure all the diameters of the tube on the outside and the inside. And then I said, start designing. So what they did is they started measuring and building, and they can print this off in about half an hour. And they built all these little pieces as they went along until they finally came up with the exact piece. And this looks exactly like the feet that are on the stool. And we actually repaired the stool and use it in our class to this day. So that's just one practical example of how we can use a printer in our classroom every day. I challenge the kids using the programs from Tinkerine U, and we followed the journal that you can get online from Tinkerine to build cookie cutters. How fun is that? You know, you get to make something in class, and then we get to bake cookies as well. So our latest challenge was design a cookie cutter that can cut a cookie, make an imprint on it, and follow the design that you initially set out. So here's an example. This is a cookie cutter of a cat. It's a giant cookie, which is great if you really like cookies. But the students are learning how to use the basic shapes in a 3D modeling program to create something that is useful. We can print it out, we can see if it works, and as you can see, they're very strong. And I think one of the best parts about 3D printing is students get to see if their design works right away, because we can print it in our classroom, and within an hour or two they can see their project come to life. So here we have a cookie cutter. This is in the shape of an Easter egg, and the boy designed it so that it would have a little imprint on the Easter egg. And I think one of the first things that the kids realized was that the edges had to be thin enough to actually cut the cookie dough. And some of them made edges that were very thick, and we called them cookie smashers or smushers. They didn't really cut. And some of them had really, really good success. Here are some projects that they worked out very well. Now these students took time to create shapes. Obviously circles are a good shape to use. They're easy, but it's the thickness of this wall that makes it an ideal cookie cutter. And students are having to design, and they're actually having to think and measure. So they're getting down to 0.1, 0.2 of a millimeter. So they're being very accurate. How do our students respond to using the printer? Well, they love it. They love it because things are colorful. That's one thing. And because it is not very difficult to do. I think Tinkerine has done a good job of creating a product that it works quickly, it works well. My favorite things about the Tinkerine printer is the ease of use. I unboxed my printer, put it on the counter, and I was printing something within 30 minutes. And for a teacher in a classroom, this is a great thing. We're very busy all day long, and for something to be easy to use in the classroom makes it much more enjoyable, and the teachers will be able to get a lot more done with the kids when we have things that are easy to use.
I'm Zanea.
And I'm Tazia.
And we're in grade 7 at Pacific Heights, and we made a Phoenix cookie cutter.
So Zanea was wearing our school's grade 7 sweatshirt, and it has the Phoenix on the front, so that's kind of where we got the idea from.
Yeah, so Tazia was looking at my sweatshirt, and then she's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to make a Phoenix cookie cutter, and then I'm like, okay, I'll do it with you. So that's how the idea got started.
So we found the exact image off Safari or whatever, but it wasn't the file that we needed. We needed an SVG file, and it was a PNG. So we had to figure out how to like convert it into what we needed.
Yeah, it took a lot of tries, and we tried a ton of different websites, but it ended up not really working that well. So Tazia's dad works with computers, so she went home and asked him for some help, and he kind of helped us to figure it out.
Yeah, so we had to like trace it out and get the background out and then make like the hole in the middle and stuff.
Yeah.
And we tried using like a cutout thing, and it didn't work. So my dad helped us use Photoshop for that, and that worked. And then we just transferred it into the SVG file, and we got it into Tinkercad.
Yeah. Once we got it into Tinkercad, it took a couple tries to make it right, because on our first try it was too small. On our second try, it was able to like squish in, so we put supports in so that it wouldn't be able to do that.
And then it was way too thick to be a cookie cutter. The cookie wouldn't have been like able to be cut with it. So we had to use Photoshop again and make it thinner than it was. And so yeah, this is our finished.
And this is our cookie that we made today.
Yeah.
In the future, I'd like to see my own classroom use the 3D printer in ways that bring their own ideas and their own inventions to life. I think it makes designing and prototyping very easy to do in our own classrooms. And that's something that's very exciting for us as teachers, that students are learning to design and build on their own.